right. Welcome to my writing page. Does everybody write in Word, or do you use another software? Did anybody hear my question?
I use Word.
Okay. Just put it this way, if anybody writes in something other than Word, just raise your hand. Let me see. All right. Because I'm going to actually, obviously, you can type and create a document in most Word is what most people use, but there are other options out there. But what I'm going to be showing you is Word, and what I'm going to also be sharing with you is who has anybody worked with tracking? It's under review.
Is that when you put comments?
Yes.
Mm.
And if you're submitting an article to Messenger, they're probably not going to do this with you, but I'm just sharing this with you because I know you're all going to write and become wonderful writers and go on to do fabulous things. Okay. So this is how an editor will work with you nowadays. And especially if they're asking you to write because you're a good writer and they respect your writing, they will want to preserve your meaning. And so they'll work with you. They'll show you the edits that they are going to make. And they'll, this is particularly if you're getting paid for it. But I'm showing you just because it's a good skill to use, whatever you're doing, especially if you're working on an article with somebody or, anyway. And so now that I have, I just want to find out where you are technologically and if you've used this stuff before. And so I'm not ready to show you the changes that I've written in your article. So let me welcome the people the ladies who have written and sent me articles. I've got 3 articles from Charlene, Deborah, and Vera. Okay, I've got Vera, I've got Charlene, and Deborah can't be here today because she had to work. And so I've asked her permission if we could use her article. If we have lots of time and we whip through Charlene's and Vera's, we'll go on to Deborah's, and just because it'll be another good example to learn from. And if not, I'll just send it to her and she'll see the response she gets from me, kind of like a teacher. Today I'm putting on my teacher hat. I'm a teacher and an editor and a writer. I do all 3 things. Hopefully not at the same time. But today I'm a teacher. And so the first thing that I do for you is I ask you to solve your problem. Okay? When you write, to me, it's just a series of problem solving. Okay? That's debunking the myth that a little creature sits on your shoulder and that's called the muse, and if you're inspired, somehow the muse speaks and then you can think of lovely things to say. That's poppycock, right? That's foolish. You have you have an assignment, we show you how to do it, and you solve problems. When you come up and you don't have any ideas, you're solving problems. And so that's how we approach the whole writing process. And so, all right, any other housekeeping items that we have to get before we start? All right, so I'm the teacher. I'm not going to be the editor. I wouldn't even really consult you. I would just go and fix your paper and say, oh, here it is. This is, I think, going to be, serve you better. And if you want, I'll tell you why I did every one of the things I did to your paper. And that's why I have tracking. And But today I'm going to show you, I think you need to do this. I think this needs help, and you go and do it. And you may not fix it the way I would fix it, right? But I'll tell you what the problem is, and then um, you're going to go and fix it. And then then you'll see a little bit of my editorial things in there, just so you can see how I would do things. And hopefully you can learn from that. And perhaps some of you have better ideas than I do. That's the beauty of writing collaboratively. And it doesn't matter the skill level or the expertise level or the experience or anything like that. We're humans and we communicate with words, and everybody can contribute. And so what we're doing, I'm going to go through with the checklist, and it's based on the PowerPoint slides and the little bit of presentation that we did. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to bring up, we're going to get familiar with the checklist and what we're looking for in the article. And then I'm going to bring up an article, and it won't have a name on it. If it's yours, you'll recognize it. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. If you want to, you can. In the end, you can decide if you want to share with people which one is yours. You don't have to. You can let me know. I've removed all the names from the articles, and that way everybody can just kind of, remain safely incognito. And so then we will go through the article, and we'll see if we can check every one of these things that need to be in there, if we can check them off in the article. And you're going to help me decide if we can check off 1 through 9. And then after that, I will pull up my version of the article that I've gone through. And I haven't gone through exhaustively. I only had less than 12 hours, and I had to sleep some of those hours. But I've done enough of it so we can get an idea, and we can even talk about it more. And I could say, no, I would do this, or I would do this. But first of all, when we approach our work, or especially someone else's work, and we're in a writing seminar kind of situation, we always come up with what works well first. So we give positive feedback first. Do you know why we do this? Anybody have an idea why we do positive feedback first? Anybody
I
have an
think it's the
idea?
sandwich method, where you give the positive, then you say this is the not so good stuff, and then you say, and this is the positive again.
That's excellent. That's excellent. There's actually research that shows writing, this is for writing teachers, that shows that positive comments have more of a beneficial effect on the student than negative comments. Because you're shown what you're doing right. It's kind of like keeping your eyes on Jesus. You can look at all the sin and say, oh, don't do that, don't do that. And then we look at the sin so much that we become like it, right? And the idea is to keep our eyes on the good. And so I think it's the same concept. We do have to address some things from well, let's change this, or let's work on that. But we start out with what's working. And so that's what we'll do. Any questions before we go on? All right. So our checklist is very simple. We're going to go through at least 2 articles that we have here, and we're going to say, did it meet the deadline? The deadline was midnight, Saturday night, England time, which was 5 o'clock my time. So that gave me time to look at it in the evening. Everyone's article was in my inbox by the time I checked it last night. Thank you. You guys did great. You were excellent students and excellent writers, and I'm very impressed. So next one is, and obviously we aren't going to be able to check the rest of these off until we look at the articles, but is there the 5 W's in the first paragraph with a missional perspective? Okay. Number 3, is there supporting information in the following paragraphs in the order of importance? 4, do we have a concise conclusion? Is it 300 to 500 words? Obviously, your publications, this is just for the assignment, your publications for your your articles for the publications that you'll be writing for can be longer. And so again, it's your job as the writer to make sure that you understand the assignment and that you understand the publication's requirements and their expectations. Obviously, we're looking for correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation according to British English guidelines. You will have to help me with this. I familiarized myself with the differences between British and American guidelines. But there's still some things I'm a little shaky on, and you use some prepositions differently than we do. I'm trying to figure out how I write a date when I want multiple days. Did I do it right at the top of the page? 19 and 21 January 2024. I know how to do like just 21 January 2024. That's okay, but how do I do it when there's multiple days? Did I do it all right? Is that how it looks properly? Anybody's going to give me feedback on that? Nobody's going to give me feedback. I'm waiting to hear. All right, all right. That's not the most important thing, but when you're an editor, you have to know everything exactly. You can't say, "Oh, I don't know." And if you don't know it, you have to go find it out. And there's one example that I have, and I hope it's not in Deborah's paper, that I actually went and I looked up something in one of your papers and said, I wonder if I can find the more information on this. And I did. And I will, if not, I'll tell you about it afterward. But it's important to make sure that you're culturally correct, that you're, and have all the rest of the corrects that are in our list right there. The last one, no, we got two more. We'll check if it's in a formal tone, and the tone was perfect in all three of them. And then make sure that all the persons mentioned in the article are identified with the title or position, and the names are spelled correctly. And this is something you want to go through and check to make sure you get that correct. That's one of the most important pieces of information. Every piece of information is important, but that one is top. 9, excuse me. 9 is a very important question for this. Was the article easy and enjoyable to read? You want your articles to go down like ice cream. Does everybody like ice cream? Smoothie, fruit smoothie, something pleasant, whatever you like. That's how you want the article to go down. You don't want there to be any, oh, that was hard to read, or you don't even want them to think about it. The information, you don't want anything to be in the way. And also, did the article leave you with any unanswered questions about the event? And if it did, was that intentional? Saying there's more later, or is it just that you left something out and everybody's wondering what it is? Okay. I have it right here, so I'm going to share with you. This is real basic to the Adventist Church. The Seventh-day Adventist name is copyrighted. Perhaps there's a better legal term for that, but that will at least let you know what I'm talking about. And you have to spell it and punctuate it the way that the church tells you to do it if you're going to use the name. And obviously you can only use the name for Adventist institutions and churches and schools and things like that. And this is what it looks like. And just take a look at the screen here, and I'll just point out to you what usually people will change in it, and where it gets changed. Seventh day is hyphenated. Seventh is capitalized at the S in seventh, and day is lowercase. You're always going to use this when you're writing for the Adventist Church. You just have to know how to say it. And then Adventist is a different word, and it's capitalized. There you go. Now you know something. This varies from publication to publication. In my union in the United States, they do it differently. But here, from everything I could tell, you capitalize all your departments and titles. And we don't capitalize all of them. If you don't capitalize the departments and the titles correctly, it's not the end of the world. Your editor will make it just like she wants it to. But it's nice to show up looking like you know what you're doing. And so that's just will put you into the next level of skill and expertise. So let me pull up unmarked papers. We're going to go down and do this one. We're going to start with this one. And I'm happy to scroll up and down. If you're like, no, wait, feel free to turn yourself on. There's only, what, 1, 2, 3. There's only 5 of us. So if you want to unmute yourself, unless you got your dog barking in the background or your kids are a little noisy, or your machinery in your room makes a lot of noise, keep yourself muted. But if it's quiet in your house and you want to leave yourself unmuted so we can have a conversation that's more organic, you're welcome to do that. I will be asking lots of questions, and obviously I've got the control on the scrolling as well as bopping back and forth between the questions and the text. So feel free to say, what you need to do so that you can read this as well as I do. What would be the best way to do it? And Joe, if you want to chime in here, you always have a good sense of how to run things. I admire and respect and value your administrative ability. So if you have ideas on how to do this, here's the article, and it goes down to, it's just one
I
page.
think, no, I appreciate that, Sandra. I'm not
Should
sure
you
if
read
we
it?
can see the article though. I think you're sharing with us just the checklist at the minute. If it's a different Word document, you
I
may
need
have to
get out and get back in again.
exactly, you got it.
Okay, there we go.
That's right.
All right. Then let me go. Hang on a second.
I'm going to be leaving in a moment to go to one of the other breakout rooms, but you've got Caleb with you. Caleb is a great technician. I'm leaving you in more than capable hands. So if you see me come and go, he doesn't. As I decrease, he will increase.
Well, thank you, both of you. I appreciate all the help I can get. Okay, so tell me how this goes here. All right.
Yes. See the article, yes. You just need to scroll back to the top now. So.
Okay. Excellent. Where is my... Okay, we'll just use the cursor then. All right, and I'm going to put as much of the, well, okay. I want to get most of the on the screen as possible.
You could zoom out, so you could zoom out the Word document. You may be able to get it all in one. So if you go onto your bottom.
Oh, I'm just pinching it. I have a, oh no. What do you see now? Is this
Yes,
okay?
we'll see in the prayer retreat document and the focus and prayer one as well.
Get everything. I've messed it up. Okay.
So you should just go back in for now and just then we can, if it will let you. Okay, yeah. I think yeah. What did you want all the document in there, or was it just the start of it?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that would, yeah, there you go.
That's good. All right, let me just push it up a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna leave it right there. When you've I'm gonna let you read it. I'm not gonna read it out loud unless you want me to. If you want me to, I'll read it out loud for everybody. If not, read it yourself, and then we'll go through the questions. Okay? Does that sound all right? Raise your hand when you're ready for me to scroll down to the next section. Anybody need me to scroll down? Raise your hand if you're ready to start going through the checklist. Okay, let's go back to the top. Okay. All right. So this lady met the deadline. We've already established that. So number one is checked off. Number two is the 5 W's in the first paragraph with a missional, meaning the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, mission of God's people in the first paragraph. Okay, so do we have the 5 W's in the first paragraph? You can unmute yourself.
So, sorry, what are the 5 W's? I wasn't on here
Who?
on Friday.
Who, what, where, when, why, and there might be even the how in there. So let's go through it real quickly here, and you just call them
Okay.
off. So go ahead, unmute yourself. Like I said, if we had a crowd here, we wouldn't be able to do this. But who is this about? Who is the who in the first paragraph?
World churches.
I think it's focusing on Handsworth Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yes, there you go. So you've got Hansford Seventh-day Adventist Church brought together. They are the ones. Okay, so we've got who, and what about what? What happened?
Is that the 10 days of prayer?
The 10 days of
Prayer.
prayer.
So was it the 10 days of prayer? It was like a follow-up to the 10 days of prayer, like a summary. Okay, when? When did this happen?
January 20th.
January 20th. It's there. Why? Is there a why in there?
To summarize and highlight
Summarize.
readings from the event.
Right. And to reflect, well, the 10 days of prayer called for congregations to reflect and seek, and the summarize and highlighting is, the why. So we did who, what, why, when, and is there a where?
Where is the church?
Yes, and you think that suffices? Is Handsworth the
Yeah.
name of the city that the church is in?
Mm.
Right, so that's and people from this conference would recognize that that's the city, right? Some churches don't have
I think
they-
Handsworth is in Birmingham, but a lot of people who live in the North England Conference will know the Handsworth Church.
so
I think.
so we've identified it, the where enough so that when people hear about it, they got an idea where it is. Even if they don't know exactly where it is, they know, oh, that's a place wherever. So that will suffice. Okay, check. Excellent. I told you these were really good. Especially, the short deadline. Yes, these were excellent. Okay, so what supporting information do we have in the following paragraphs? And do they seem like it's in like descending order of importance? What's the second paragraph about? Somebody want to? What do we have there?
It details the event.
Yes, and it's in chronological order, right? The Sabbath celebration began with, um, and that's the best way to organize an event. You know, unless it's like an event that doesn't have a beginning, a middle, and an end, then you just pick the most important things and put it in. But if it's an event that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, obviously you want to go chronologically. And the writer has done this. The Sabbath celebration began with, and then what happens with the children, then you have the sermonette, and then we have quotes toward the end. And then at the end, we have a Bible verse. Now, we all think Bible verses are important, and they are, but in the perspective of a purely news story, is a Bible verse breaking news? No. And so that's why we put it at the end of the article, the point. So she's done it beautifully, hasn't she? And also, what do we find at the end here? We find the appeal, or what's going to happen next. And news is what people need. They need to know about what's going to be happening. And she's already provided, the writer has already provided, obviously, what's going to happen next. They want to continue this, and here's the information, and she's got it all there. So what do you think about the way that the order of paragraphs was handled according to what we learned? Give it a thumbs up.
Definite
I
thumbs
think
up.
beautiful.
Definitely, yes. Okay. And is there a concise conclusion that's appropriate? Either giving us an appeal or a small restate, or just another little piece of incidental information that's relevant but not too important? Yes, definitely, I think. Do you agree? Conclusion's
Yeah.
good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Give it a thumbs up? Definitely. Is there a formal tone that's still easily readable? What do you think about the tone? Anything that's too, any sentence construction that's too complicated or anything like that?
No, it's quite a warm
Yes.
invitation.
It's warm, but it's not informal. That's
No.
exactly what you
Yeah.
want, especially for a church publication. You don't want to be cold in a church publication. You don't want to be so formal that you're like, you know, like you don't care. So the tone is excellent, right? Now, did the writer identify all the people mentioned in the article with their title and position, if appropriate, and the names spelled correctly? Of course, we don't know, but are all of the people identified with their proper title?
Yes.
Yep, Latoya, the prayer leader. Elder Winsome has been mentioned already. Elder Malvet has been mentioned already. Nathan Gray, member of the congregation and leader of men's. Yep, head elder is identified, and we'll go up farther. And again, the elders are mentioned at the top, so they're identified already. So is everyone identified properly? Yes. And my only question was, I see Horace French, and his name looks interesting to me. And I thought, oh, is that spelled correctly? But then I see you use it several times, and I think that must be the spelling. So we'd have to ask the author if that is indeed the way it's spelled. And the other one that made me look at it twice, and of course, this isn't saying it's wrong. It could be the way it's spelled, and she did her work perfectly. But this is what I would ask as an editor, or I would think, as an editor, you're assuming that the names are spelled correctly, unless you want to go do all the research yourself, and that's not viable for a church setting. Maybe like conference officials or GC officials, but not in the church setting. But the badges, Winsome badges with a double A. So I would just ask if, and I'm assuming that she got everything right and it's fine. And so we have checked off number 8. And was it easy and enjoyable to read? Did you have to try and understand it? Did anything trip you up as you read it?
It was very easy.
Yes, yes. Did it kind of go down easy? And you got the information very easily in your head without having to try too hard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Did it leave you with any unanswered questions? Like, what happened to, you know, you know how somebody mentions something at the beginning and then you never get what they mentioned? You know, things like that are what you're going to be looking for. Were there any unanswered questions?
No, not
No,
really.
it was clear and
Mm.
concise, factual
Yes.
as well.
Yes. Okay. So to the 300 to 500 words, and I will give you this information. This one was 496 words. Is that within
Wow.
the
That's very good.
again, let me show you here. Are you following me? You can see my whole screen. Everybody's good with my screen?
Yep.
You know how to find the word count? They changed it with this new word update. And it used to be, and maybe I'm sure if I was better at techie, I could adjust the way my screen is laid out. But before it was at the bottom here, and it was there, like track changes on, along with that was my word count. And it kind of changed as you went, and you didn't have to click on anything to check your word count. Because when you're writing for a publication that has a really tight word count, you got your eye on that all the time. But now you got to go to review and follow me, review, and then word count. Now, this isn't going to show her article because I've got everybody in the same file. But just to show you where to find it if you don't use this application or you haven't used this application before. Okay, no, so she's
Question for you. Would
Yes.
you need to put any capitals like for the head elder, the E, would you need that to be capitalized or not
Well,
really?
that's a good question, and that's what we're going to do next.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
This is just we're just going through the big checklist, okay? And now we're going to go quickly, and we're not going to be able to do a thorough editing job because we don't have the time, but we'll get the idea. And you can see some things I've done, and I haven't caught everything that I would look at, but good question, and this will transition us into the marked up version. So I've got to get out of my screen and go to the other side. But let me at least make this point. In British English, you capitalize everything. Head elder. What are some other examples here? I can't think of anything at the top of my head, but yeah, every title in every department is capitalized. And so yes, you would. And I see that you guys American tradition is that in reporting, you mention the person's, when you first mention a person, you mention their entire name, their title, and their letters go after them, not before them. So they're not Mr., they're not doctor, they're nothing, they're not pastor. They are Joe Smith, comma, MD, etc., or Joe Smith, pastor of the Main Street Church. And then after that, we refer to him as Smith. It may seem disrespectful. I think your method is much more respectful. but you will refer to the person by their title throughout the entire article, and it's very respectful. And I think Noah Webster kind of shortened us right at the beginning, and we've kept with it. We'll save the stories of history for later. But so let me get out of the unmarked version, and we will go to the marked version. Right. Now, you're going to say when you look at these that I marked up one differently than I marked up the other. And it's kind of true. I just picked out the things that I thought were the best to that were the easiest because I was moving fast, as well as the best to teach you on. And so I have the comments. This is with tracking. When you want to put a comment in, you hit this and it'll make a little box over here, like I have right here. And then you type it in, and there's options for you to put different names, so you can work together with two editors, your comments, their comments, the other editor's comments, or if you want to work with a team of collaborative writers, and so everybody puts their 2 cents in. This also is a nice piece of technology to use for that as well. And so, oh dear, I didn't. No, everybody saw it. I'm so sorry. I put it off the unmarked version. But anyway, so my apologies without your permission, Charlene.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But you have a good article, and she wrote it. I don't write well fast. I do better when I have a little more time. And who knows, everybody does. But she did very well on short notice and quick turnover time. And so now we are going to go, and I'm just going to go through and give my 2 cents, and then I want you to look for things. And you can share your 2 cents and 3 or 4 cents. So my first thing was, obviously there are many positives about this, and as I go through, I'll highlight the things that I really like about it as they come. But and then I want to give time for the rest of you to give your feedback as well, or questions. The title, that's one thing it was obviously describing what was going on, but I thought you could create a more specific title that will let readers know exactly what's happening. And I put this on another article. One way to do this, is to include a verb. You've got the subject. Now, what is the subject doing? This, let me get a little drink of water real quick. If you add a verb to your title, immediately you're going to add more information and more interest, and it'll have life, because that's what verbs are, and verbs are the action words. So Caleb, how can I move these pictures out of the way, because it's over part of my text? Can I do this? I just did.
I think it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now you can see you don't need to see me. We're here to look at the document. So, and this is how you can click on it and you'll get bigger. Can everybody see everything still? Am I still okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and go ahead, keep your unless you've got lots of background noise, feel free to keep your computer unmuted, and so we can have a conversation here. So my first suggestion would be to create a more specific title that will let the readers know exactly what happened. A focus on prayer could be the title of many, many articles, and what you want is one that's just for your article. And this is what I threw out at the top of my head. I'm not saying this would be the best title for it, but so Handsworth Church reviews worldwide 10 days of prayer. It's not necessarily exciting, but we know exactly what's happening. And it kind of says the same thing, but it gives who and what and what they were doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Another thing that, before I move on, was this the one? No, I'll just stick with my comments, and we can, and if, as I go down, be thinking of what you would like to say, or have any questions or suggestions or anything like that. I'm just wondering.
You've put capitals on 10 days of prayer so that it's uniform throughout the article. That I have noticed. Because I know
Yes.
in the unmarked version, it started off with a capital and then the rest was lowercase throughout the rest of the article.
Yes, you know, I wonder if I have my tracking on for this one, because I did go through and make changes and they're not showing up, because
Can I just say, I think it's a really good article. Thank you very much, Charlie.
it is.
Yeah.
Everyone I received, I'm like, oh, Joni needs to use these, somebody needs to use these. But yes, and when I change things, I always have a reason. This comes from working for clients. You know, why did you do that to my thing? I have to tell them why, and I have to have a reason. And so 10 Days of Prayer is the title of something. And so we want to continue using it in a title form. And if it's a title, all the important words are capitalized. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. Any
You've
one
put the
thing I
Bible
did,
with a capital B as well.
I don't know what
Um,
you do in England, but in America we do.
Yeah, well, I would expect we would do that too in England, but I don't write as many. Maybe more people on this meeting write more articles than we do. So
Yeah. And so I don't know what your practices are, but if we say of biblical proportions, of course that's not capitalized because the word is just being used as an adjective. But if we're talking about the Bible as in the book, even aside from spiritual things, it's the name of a book. It's the title of a book, basically, and so we would capitalize it. I've seen scriptures, the scriptures. I've seen that go either way. Check, check with the editor. One thing, and again, we're just going through this quickly because I want to get to the other one as well, and we're running out of time. So I think we're going to just say one thing and then we're going to hop to the next one. But Nathan Gray, leader of the Men's Ministries Department, I already fixed this one, and my tracking isn't showing up because evidently I didn't have it. But you have them labeled as a member of the church and the leaders of the men's ministry department. We're trying to remain concise, and if you're saying he's the leader of the men's ministry department, we can assume that he's a member of the church, and so I deleted member of the church.
Okay.
Things like that, and I'm asking you to look at the principle, are things that you can tighten up your article, and the editors are going to take it out anyway. You want to be able to be tight and not say things, over and over again in a different way, especially with a news article.
Can I just ask about the head elder? Would that be a capital H?
In America, I wouldn't capitalize head or elder, but I don't know. Obviously, when it's an elder Movet or elder Horace, you're going to capitalize it because you're using it as a title. But like each sermonette presented by the elders, I wouldn't capitalize that in my writing. This is where I feel like I can't be totally reliable as a information source because of the differences between British and American English.
Okay, thanks.
But that's that's my side. All right. Yep. And so what we're going to do right now, because it's 7:18, and I don't think when are we? Let me go check my schedule here.
You got 2 minutes. So we're supposed to go back at 20 past. So
Oh yes.
Sorry.
Well,
It's half past. We're coming back. Half past.
whatever.
okay, so we can use the break time. All right, we'll go back to the unmarked version, and I'm going to we'll go to the next one. All right. Are you who's a fast reader? Read carefully and quickly and tell me when you need to scroll down. Can everybody see Adventist Church unveils its first strategic plan?
Yeah.
Okay. And say yes when you want me to scroll down.
Please scroll down.
Let me know when you're done reading.
Hmm.
Okay. How are we doing?
Done.
Yes,
I'm-
finished. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to go right to the marked version since we only have a few minutes left. Okay. And
That one gave me more questions than answers. By the time I finished, I wondered what the program was, and I need to go back to the start to read it up again. But maybe that's just me because I was reading it quick. I don't know.
and that can be, it can be if you were going too fast. Okay, let's go to the bottom here. Okay, so do we have the who, what, where, when, and why? Who is the new generation Seventh-day Adventist Church? We have that. When is January 20th? Where is in Leeds on the church premise? And what is it unveiled its 5-year strategic plan? So I think we have the 5 who, what, the 5 W's in the first paragraph. And my comment here was, I thought this was an excellent headline. It tells you exactly what's happening, and it makes it sound exciting because it's using a verb that's got a lot of flavor to it. Unveils. That's a really interesting, exciting verb, and it's telling why it's important. It's the first one. Anything first is important, and I thought it was an excellent headline. Any feedback about the first paragraph in the headline? No. Okay. All right. Where, if you can skim it again, where did you see that you were missing some information?
It said at the bottom, program, but when you look at it, it's a strategic plan. That's why I was getting confused because it says strategic plan at the start. And then you said at the bottom, well, we had a program or an event. And I'm like, yeah, the event to show the strategic plan, but program, and you had lots of kids there. So I'm trying to get what the point was.
So maybe we suggest maybe calling it more like a planning session or making it more clear exactly what the event was. Would that
Yeah.
work? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I thought,
Um,
well, there's obviously been some kind of event. It's like, oh, it's to unveil a plan. Okay. But you had a program. But so what did the program do? But it unveiled the plan. I don't know. I'm just a bit confused. So anyway, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So make sure you take notes. You'll be getting you'll be getting all of the notes from me, but a few of these obviously aren't in my notes, so go ahead and take notes. And again, I just want to highlight that this was done very quickly. And so whatever process they're going through, they may still be going through it. And that's okay. It's a great beginning. And I think whatever little tweaks are done with all of the articles I read would make them into fine articles. So it's not a matter of necessarily skill or leaving things out because we didn't notice it. I think it's more of a time issue. But my question was a similar one. I wanted to more understand the details of the event in a way that made sense. When the pastor helped them form this mission and plan for the church, he grouped the church into fours and tasked them to create a mission and a vision statement. Each group then elected a leader to present what they had discussed, and it was finalized by the church through voting. What was finalized by the church through voting? Did everybody have a different mission and vision? To me, that's kind of what it sounds like, and I'm not sure that's what you meant, because usually you come up with one vision and mission statement. But to me, this was a little unclear, and I've written it down there in the comments. I think the progression of the information was excellent, though. It was kind of chronological, and then a beautiful quote at the end. And I made a suggestion. It wasn't my suggestion right here. With Diana was not so much a editorial correction. It was just that this is interesting. Had you thought about this? If she's saying this about, if this is her quote, it would be really interesting to see how long she had been at the church, or if she was like a charter member, because then she would really know what had been going on in the church since the very beginning. My editorial proofreading stuff, maybe we could, I don't know if Madame is like proper, and again, this is my lack of knowledge with the British system. Is Madame, would that be her proper part of her proper name, or would it be like a Mrs.? And the writer would have to fix that one or answer.
If she's from Ghana, then they tend to say Madame in Ghana. If Diana Boateng is from Ghana, then Madame is what they usually use over there.
Okay, but you got to remember it's a British publication, so you're going to be following British culture, but you still want to reflect the culture of the people you're talking about. So I would consider that. I would, look at that as you write out your names, and I don't have a good answer for that on the fly, very quickly. But that's something to look at as a way to make sure that it fits the standards of British English, as well as does things in the way that would reflect who she is as a person.
Is it possible to ask, was there a program for the children, considering how many there were there? Is that what?
Question? Very good question.
Because it is very important that many children attended the event. I mean, there's a lot of children, but I just wondered if there was a program that the children attended, and maybe that's why it says program. I don't know.
I read it as the church saw a total number of 188, and I don't. Again, I'm gonna give you the quick stuff.
That includes the adults. Right.
The total number of 188, and this is a big number because it does include all the children. I'm just going to say that at least in American English, anything above 10, you can write out, you can put the number in. but from 0 to 10, you have to write it out as the word. After 10, I don't know what British English does, but so I edited that way. And this is why I just said saw a total number of 188 because it's over 10, so I can put the number in. And it just keeps things a little more concise, because when you start writing out thousands and thousands in words, it gets really long. But again, that's something you want to, and again, so you see up here, 5-year strategic plan. So I changed the 5 to, and you only need one or the other, at least in the rules that I'm familiar with. Because it's under 10, I've written it out as a word. And those are the rules that I'm familiar with. And so this is how I would do it. So it looks like it's nicely put together. It's in the right order. We have a beautiful quote and a nice conclusion there. We just want a little more information so we can understand exactly how the event transpired. And to be honest with you, I look at it and it wouldn't take too much to just put in a few words here and there to make those paragraphs just a little more clear.
I think it's well written. I just think
Oh yeah,
because
you know,
we had
it's
to speed read it, we didn't give it
Yes.
as much time as the first one. The only thing for me that stands out is would be more use of plain English. So instead of saying sorry, that's just flew up in front of me.
Quinquennium. Yeah.
Instead of saying quinquennium, you know, it just to stick to more plain English so it can appeal to all readers.
So here's one way that you can do this.
Hey,
that
Sandy,
you can-
sorry, Sandy, just let you know the room's gonna close like in 60 seconds. So
Okay, so
38.
we can close. A way to do quinquennium is if you want to leave it in there, you can just say through the next 5-year period, you can use that and that would be plainer.
Yeah.
One other way is to leave it in and then just put a very brief description of what quinquennium is right after
Yeah.
it. We use throughout the quinquennium the next 5 years, the next 5-year period. And
Thanks.
that would educate people so that they are in, getting used to the language of the church, as well as, getting the information out. All righty. Great work, everyone.